Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Brent Thomas, and you have now entered the Paranormal Portal. Welcome, everybody, and how you doing? I hope you're having a great night. Hope you're having a great weekend. Thanks for joining us here. We got an exciting night ahead for us tonight. We've got a special guest waiting in the wings. And, of course, Don will be joining us remotely as well. So it's a stream fest going on here in the portal. So I hope you guys are ready because we are in for a ride. My guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Joe Rupe, who is the creator and host of Lighting the Void, the founder of the FringeFM, and has an amazing network. Both his show and his network are absolutely fascinating, fantastic, great hosts, great shows. And he is a lifelong student of the esoteric, the occult, and just a fantastic guy. I had the pleasure of being on his show, and we had a ball. We had a really, really great conversation. He and I just clicked. It was really, really easy. So I got him here, and we're going to turn the tables on him tonight. So welcome to the show, Joe. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, really, this is cool. Thank you.
And Don, good to see you, brother.
That would be me. Hi, how is everybody?
I think they're good. They told me so before the show. No, I'm sure everything's good. But yeah, man, we are rolling, and of course, everybody's kind of tucking and sheltering lately, and it's kind of a confusing time. But we are so thrilled that so many of you are here with us as we go through this. I don't know, this weird journey we're on. But Joe, how's things in the Lighting the Void world and the FringeFM, man?
Oh, that's good. I had to take a hiatus. I took a couple-day break last week, but everything's been good, man. The show's growing, the network's growing, the FringeFM's growing. We're changing up a lot of stuff. It's I talked to you about this off the show. Like, the internet radio's blowing up big time, especially with the virus and stuff going on right now. It's huge. I mean, everything's crazy. Listenership is up. Everybody's home. It's a weird time, man. It feels kind of Twilight Zone-y out there right now.
Yeah, and you know what else is really cool is that it seems like a lot of people that create this content like we do have really stepped up their game to try to to be there for the people that are stuck in their homes, and they're really pushing out content and pushing out a lot of amazing information for people, and just trying to. It seems like there seems to be a very concerted effort, whether it's planned or not, but people are really stepping up and throwing out a lot of great shows out there lately.
Yeah, and it's fun. I mean, this is when broadcasters thrive, actually. I feel like times like this. If you think back to like World War II, any type of fallout or any type of bad session, people turn the radios on. And it is kind of strange that we're in the 20s, right? Because it kind of feels that way, but in a more updated version of it, I guess.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, brother, for those of our audience that aren't familiar with you, can you give us a little background how you got to doing this? I mean, doing what you're doing.
Sure, yeah. When I was going to tech, I went to a technical college studying networking, and then I got really involved into late night radio because I worked like 2 jobs and went to school.
Oh man!
And it was the one thing that kept me sane. And found Art Bell's show and started listening to that show. And I really listened to a few shows, but Art Bell's was the biggest one.
Sure.
And it was like my nights had changed. I looked forward to it every night. And then when he quit, I mean, it was the first time I ever felt true heartache when something in the media quit, other than the loss of The Sopranos, that gut bad feeling, like when you've had a bad breakup or something. That's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, like, why do I care so much about that? And
right.
I was flipping, trying to find something to listen to. I found a few decent shows, but nothing like that. Yeah. And I just kind of obsessed over it. So I got into doing podcasting, and then one night a week, and then kicked it into gear later as we went on. Then I met a buddy of mine, Dave Cruz, and we decided to start a network, and it just progressed from there, man, pretty much,
Yeah. Was it daunting for you? I mean, it's a bold move to put yourself out there,
It was really daunting because I was working as a tier 2 tech specialist for a cell phone company or Verizon, and So I talk to angry people all the time. By the time they got to me, after they've been through customer service, technical support, then they got to me. So
Yeah.
I had to deal with 50 people like that a day.
Oh man.
And then come home and then try to put on a smiling face and do that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I took a big leap of faith, but I got so tired of it. And my soul, there was like signs and synchronicities, stuff I've talked to you about too, because I believe in that, they were showing me that here's the reason why. This is what I've been prepping you for.
Yeah.
And I just stood up one day at work and I said, I don't know what y'all are going to do, man, but I'm not doing this no more. And I was done, Didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know how I was going to live, pay my bills. I just wanted to trust my spirit for once. And this pretty much everything I have, the reason why I'm surviving, the reason why the Fringe is doing good is because I listened to that voice.
Yeah. I gotta say it's not necessarily a carbon copy kind of story, but I gotta tell you that I grew up kind of just always wondering what the hell am I going to do? Where do I fit in?
Yeah.
What is my place in all of this? Because I had all kinds of friends. I mean, they knew since, junior high and high school where they were going. And sure enough, a lot of them went that way. Some of them, of course, went completely different directions, but they all had a plan. And I never had a plan.
Right.
And, it was, it took me being laid off from a job. Actually, I was laid off from like 3 jobs in a row. It was like, oh my God. So I figured, I've got to do something for me, and I can't do it through other people. I've got to do something. And it was before I was actually laid off from the job, but I just thought, hey, I want to do a show. And, thank God my good friend Chris Gio was part of the company I worked for. And so that worked out okay. But I wasn't until, the last 4.5 years that I knew what I was doing or what direction I wanted to go. So that's pretty powerful,
Yeah, it is. It's scary too. I called one of my friends, Amalia, because she'd been telling me that she was like, you just need to take that leap of faith, right? Because I was telling her about all these synchronicities that happened, stuff that I'd heard, and I was studying magic at the time, trying to figure out why that works. Plus, out of body stuff. I was really into that. And I started noticing these things. And she was like, you just need to quit. I said, quit and do what? How am I going to pay for stuff? Like, where's the money going to come from? She goes, well, you have to understand that as long as you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, things are just going to happen. She's like, you're a magician. Do your magic. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I'm glad you did. And obviously it was the right move for you, but it's a journey for sure. Now, at what point did you decide that you wanted to have a network? I mean, because doing a show is one thing, but starting a whole network, man, that's a bold move.
I've always, I'm a community guy. I'm more of a team guy.
Okay.
Like I grew up playing sports, football, baseball. I believed in teamwork. I missed it, right? And after a while, I was talking on the radio enough. And when you first start out, when you talk to somebody, you get a reaction, so it's easy to talk back and forth. But when you're just talking to a microphone and no one's responding, there's a voice that starts in your head like, am I sounding stupid or what? And you're just talking into the ether, so it's kind of lonely. Number one,
right?
And then I just wanted a team, right? Like I just wanted a team to focus on some of the same things, and that's when I heard Dave Cruz's show, and I just got this vibe from this guy. I was like, he sounds like somebody that I wouldn't mind being a team member with. And I talked to him, and he thought it was a good idea because it's not easy to build an audience. And I don't care how big the audience was. I just wanted my own audience, even if it was just 50 people.
Right.
And we were thinking, well, the more people that we have involved, the more we can fan each other's flame. Let's try it. Right. And that's kind of how it took off.
Oh, that's cool, brother. And it's obviously worked out really well, and you guys got an amazing thing going on over there. And my hat's off to you because I think it's bold. It's a tough thing to step out on your own like that, but you did it in two big, profound ways, and you definitely landed on your feet. So, well played, sir. But I gotta ask you about the esoteric practice as the magician. How did you get to at what point in your life did you start pursuing this?
Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know how many years I've been doing this for. So I would say probably I was selling cars at the time, which is another thing that preps you for radio, by the way, is selling cars. I was selling cars I think it was like 2011, 2012. So before then, I was already questioning my religion because I grew up Southern Baptist, and I was thinking, man, there's codes in here. Like I was noticing things, like why do all these numbers equal to 9? And it's called gematria, like 144, 666, all this stuff. It equals to the number 9, and gematria. I'm like, there's codes in here. Mm-hmm. So there's ciphers in here. This isn't really literal, or is it? And that kind of sent me on a journey to libraries and bookstores and certain YouTube channels that got me interested. And as the truth led me to a thing called Hermetics, which I'm sure everybody's kind of familiar of, or Hermeticism. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that's kind of how I got involved with that. And because of my upbringing, I think I was drawn to ceremonial magic, Mm-hmm. So I'm more of like a ceremonial magician, but I would say an occultist too. Hermetic Kabbalist, I guess Richard Allen Miller would say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, I know a lot of people, when they hear occult, they automatically think of Satan worship and stuff like that. But how would you best embody that in an explanation? How would you explain to people that may be of that more traditional what's the word, dogmatic idealisms?
Well, most of that's propaganda anyways. Right?
Sure.
I mean, there are satanic temples and stuff, but a lot of that comes from just programs in the mind. If you think Satan worship, the first images you're going to get in your mind is a pinnacle or a pentagram, and a lot of people don't. Those, not a lot, but those type of people don't really know what that means, number one. And even some of the satanic churches, like the guy that came up here that, put the statue of Baphomet up at the Capitol and was, trying to say, well, we have freedom of religion too, and he put this big Baphomet statue up at the Capitol. That's not even the real Baphomet statue. And those people out there yelling at him, saying that that's a devil-worshiping statue, have never read Eliphas Levi. They don't even know what the symbol means. And here's the real problem, neither did that church. Either that preacher did and he didn't care, but since he's, that kind of guy, that's what they're going to think. So now every time they look at it, it's the devil. And that's how this propaganda stuff starts, and it just stays that way.
Right. Yeah. And so what is that statue then for those of us that, I believe it's a repurposed Celtic god, but what is it exactly?
Yeah, there's a lot of symbolism in there. A friend of mine, Ryan Gable, probably explained it the best, but the first symbol I ever saw was Eliphas Levi. It kind of has, it shows there's a lot of symbolism in there. I don't want to talk about it too much, but
sure,
because people might not get it, but it's kind of the as above, so below. So you see the hand and the lower hand. It shows the male and female. It shows nature. It shows the different parts of the soul as well, the different aspects of ourselves. So it shows pretty much all of Hermetics in one symbol. And I think there's even some deeper stuff about it that a lot of people don't understand, that I don't understand, still trying to figure out. But there's even Baphomet statues now that don't even look anything like the first one. You watch Sabrina, they put little 2 children below it and everything. They just make it look even freakier. And it's so if you look at a tarot card, right, the magician tarot card, I mean, that's pretty much the same thing, right? Except it's not as scary because it's a dude.
Right.
So, but he's showing like as above, so below. He's got all the parts of himself on the table, which is, everybody's seen that card, right? So
sure,
he's got all of himself on the table. He's got all of his tools that he's mastered. The pinnacles, the cup, the dagger and the wand, which represent fire, earth, and water, which represents those elements in yourself, which represents you. So you master those parts of yourself, then you grow your energetic and consciousness body, so to speak, and you become a magician. You can manifest things into your life. You study nature, you know how it works, cause and effect, all the hermetic principles, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it's really cool. In the system that you follow, is that the Franz Barden system, or where?
No, but I like Franz Barden's system. First the one that I first practiced and still do to this day is pretty traditional.
Okay.
It's just traditional Golden Dawn, more like Israel Regardie style,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
which here's the thing. Crowley's stuff, the OTO, he kind of mixed that in there, but he really made his own system that was based on the Golden Dawn. Wicca, a lot of the systems that you see today are based and structured off of that system. But the Golden Dawn system is structured off of a lot of different things put together, and it started back in 1888. So.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by the whole pursuit of magic, and I think this is something you and I discussed on your show a little bit. But I think that we're all manifestors, and I think that we very profoundly manifest our world. It's interesting because last night I had Ron Moorhead on the show, and he was talking about quantum physics, and he was talking about the concept that nothing exists until it's observed. And, I'm familiar with that concept already, but when he said it, it was like just the perfect time to hear that for me. And I was just like, wow, that just is such a magnificent example of how we very literally manifest our lives and our worlds around us. And I think that so much of that has been lost or obfuscated in principles and ideas and symbolism and stuff, that we've lost those core principles. And
Right.
I think that studying a system like that, and I'm my belief is people believe whatever resonates within them, like that's important. But
Sure.
I think that people rediscovering manifestation is an incredibly powerful thing, because what would the world look like if we all were self-actualized beings? I mean, how amazing
Right,
could that
yeah.
be?
Well, I mean, Ash, really what you're trying to learn about is that you're more than your physical body. So really the first system of ceremonial magic is trying to not just retrain your body and your energy, but it's trying to show you what you're made up of, and all of it's trying to smash all your paradigms. So it's opening in these doors so you can see that there are actual natural cycles and laws and stuff that happen. And then once you realize this, then I'll tell you what happened to me when I started realizing what it was all about is that I started having out-of-body experiences, right? Coming out of my body, like, what is this? Like, they talk about this in a lot of esoteric books, the diamond body, this whole thing, but they teach that you have different bodies. Like you have a lunar body or your dream body, which is when we dream or when we astral travel or when somebody has a psychic connection or something like that. There's this whole realm where you have this separate energetic body that belongs there. And that's the foundation, kind of like the outline or the program that draws what everything's supposed to look like and feel like before it physically manifests. Okay, and then there's another body above that, which is your solar body, that once you go through all the grades, you get out of your own way humanly, and you understand what everything's about and what it does, then you progress through your dream body. So now you start learning about which people already know about, lucid dreaming, astral travel. But instead, a magician knows what to do. In other words, he could go into the astral realm, look around, see what he sees, know kind of where he's at based on the tree of life, do the work that he has to do there to grow that body too. So what you're doing is you're growing an energetic body, your soul, out of the soil of your body. And this is what we do. We just constantly reincarnate. It's like throwing a fish back till it gets big, right?
Yeah.
We constantly reincarnate until we have these bodies that we can travel through the stars now. We don't forget who we are anymore. We come back to where we came from. And that's what alchemy really is all about, like hermetic alchemy.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think that's incredibly profound. And, I know we only got about 6 minutes before the first break, but I want to ask you about, are you familiar or do you utilize any of the Egyptian modalities in your practices?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or Toth, how do you pronounce that, by the way?
Some people say Thoth, some people say Toth. But here's
Okay.
the thing, like, that's a channeled text. Just, I hate to tell y'all, that's a channeled text.
Okay.
And it's not the same thing as the Emerald Tablet. Those are two separate things.
Okay.
But a lot of the stuff that they talk about in there is the fundamentals of it are true, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's really an inspired or illuminated text. It seems to hold some really incredible observations or ideas of the situations that we're in. But do you think that there is indeed some emerald tablets laying around somewhere?
I couldn't tell you, man. Honestly, if there was, it's a cool story.
Yeah.
And there might be. I wouldn't doubt it. But
Yeah.
the fundamentals, the stuff that's in there, the hidden text, the hidden messages behind that, what's in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, really is talking about hermetics. You know, it was just written way later. The Emerald Tablet itself, the actual tablet that was the Hermetic tablet that was transcribed by like Isaac Newton and rewritten by all these different people, that one I believe might have existed too, but I don't know. To be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really cool, but I'm fascinated by that myself. I've looked into the Hermetics quite a little bit. I wouldn't say that I'm a practitioner of anything, but I like the idea of finding wisdoms in many different systems and applying them to myself. I guess I kind of take a Bruce Lee approach to my spirituality, and it seems to suit me okay. But I think it's fantastic, and I think that a self-actualized person is profoundly capable of handling and mitigating the circumstances of life, because I think that we're so conditioned to be disempowered, and it seems to me, and we talked about this on your show as well, about the whole elevating consciousness, and I think that we really are in this time of need to elevate consciousness and break. I'm not speaking of any kind of acts of rebellion or anything, but just interpersonally, inside of ourselves, breaking those old systems and finding something that fits, because I think we've outgrown those in many ways.
Yeah, but I think the masters that have come to this planet, like Yeshua or Jesus, Buddha, they were teaching these things.
Oh, absolutely.
None of them asked to say, make sure you make a religion out of me and worship me, or when I say I am the way, the truth, and the light, that means what I'm doing is what you should be doing. And when the kingdom of heaven is inside you, it's literally inside you, right? Like it's there already.
Sure.
And they came here to say what Jesus said, you can do what I'm doing and more, but I must go to the Father. But what we understand, like on a literal level first, we have to understand the literal part first before we can get down to the occult or hidden part of it. And that's when you start getting into, that's when you realize that the Bible itself is actually like 7 different books that are all telling the same story and all telling truths, and it's all true. That's how powerful that book is. That's how magical the Bible is. It's a lot more powerful than even the Christians give it credit for, I think.
Yeah, and I would agree. And again, I think that the Christians, and this is not a disparaging remark at all, of course, but when you're in a system of belief, oftentimes we subjugate ourselves to that without finding what it really means to us or allows it to expand us. And so I think that the traditional methodology of religious practice, especially like Christianity, and I mean like the old, I don't know, God, I'm going to probably piss off a whole bunch of people here, but it's not my intent, because again,
Go for it.
Joe just chummed the waters for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
But
Can't make everybody happy.
well, it's just that so many people have been spoon-fed their religion. in a sense. They go to these people that are, we hope they're inspired and illuminated by what they're teaching, but I don't think a whole lot of people are, because I think that they're reciting stories. They're regurgitating things without really understanding the beauty and the profound nature that those words have. Like, I agree with you. I think the Bible is incredibly inspired text, but I don't think that many people really understand how incredibly deep those phrases go. Many people just take the surface of it and go, well, I just got
But
to
they
do
will.
this. Yeah, I hope so. I mean,
They will
yeah.
eventually. That's the whole point of it. It's the dalit. It's the
Yeah.
doorway. That's what religion is. The religions and the stories and the parables and the mythologies and
Yeah.
all of these things are the doorway to inner truth and understanding. So
Yeah. Hold on, brother.
if people just
We actually have to go
Sure.
to our first
Break
break.
down.
I talked right into it. I'm sorry. But we'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen, with more of Joe Roop here on the Paranormal Portal. Don't go away. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back at it here on the Paranormal Portal. I'm still your host, and I'm still Brent Thomas. And we got, there's the sound got better. There's like this thunder in the air or something. I don't know. I don't know where that's coming from necessarily, but just consider it a soothing river running next to you. That's another beauty of the Skype presence and experience, is that sometimes you get all kinds of unintended sound effects, but we can use them to our advantage. But ladies and gentlemen, we are joined tonight by our special guest, Mr. Joe Rupe of Lighting the Void in the FringeFM. And, of course, Don is here with us. Don, you've been kind of silent. Everything all right over there? And I don't know what's going on. Maybe his sound's not working. Don,
Yeah, I don't
What?
know.
oh,
Yeah, that's the mute button. Always the mute button. And
No, my audio is cutting out, so I can't hear you guys, but I can see you guys just fine. So
okay.
anyhow, I'm here. Hey, everybody.
All right. Well, we have been discussing a lot already, and it feels like, Joe, it feels like the experience of being on your show, where we're both just going back and forth and having this great exchange of ideas, and I really love these kind of discussions. It's just really powerful, and I think it just serves to increase understanding, and it certainly I hope that everyone is enjoying it as much as I am, but I certainly am, brother. Now you, of course, well, thank you, brother. On the Lighting the Void, you cover all kinds of topics, just like we do. I think our playlist is probably matched up even, like we do. Of course, psychic. We do ghosts. We do UFOs. We do Bigfoots, cryptids, and all of that. What topic do you resonate with the most? Is there one that sticks out to you as being the best one that you like to discuss, or is it an even field for you?
Well, it's definitely not an even field, but I would say probably, either the practice of, it'd have to be astral travel. It's either astral travel or magic and mysticism. Those kind of go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. They're not really two different topics because, we can get into that, but yeah, I'd just say astral travel probably.
Okay, well, why don't we get into that? Because I'm very interested in where you're going with this. I think you're right for what it's worth, but I can't wait to hear what your reasoning is.
Well, like the out of body experience. When I first read Robert Monroe's book, I just didn't believe it. Mm-hmm. I was listening to this guy talk about how he was coming out of his body and messing with stuff in his house and floating on the ceiling and seeing what his neighbors were doing, things like that, meeting these entities, and it just sounded so cool, but it was out there. And, and I got to about the 4th or 5th chapter, and I started thinking, man, this guy sounds like he's being for real.
Yeah.
Like, he don't sound like he's just making this up. And, he had his own techniques in there, and he did it in a very scientific method type of way. And so I started trying this stuff at work. I'd go out to lunch and sit in my car, right, and go to the park and would try some of these techniques, and I would get to this vibratory state that he talked about, where your body becomes paralyzed, things like that. And I started having more weird experiences, and I just said, man, maybe you can do this. Of course, it caused me to be late for work a few times. I come back, super late. But, my managers loved me so much they didn't care. But I didn't, what are you doing? Why are you so late? I didn't want to say, well, I was out there trying to come out of my body. That just wouldn't have, done anything for me. I did have this one manager, though, that wanted to do it with me. Oh. But anyways, so I got into doing that. And then I got into, at the same time, I was already studying magic, right? I was already studying this type of thing, and I started realizing that this is what this is all about. Because when you pick up a magical book or a text or a system, like the Golden Dawn or any type of system, they don't really tell you why you're doing these things, They don't tell you. They just say, draw your pentagram and really envision, that, they teach you visualization, envision the blue flame like you would if you just lit a glass or a gas stove, right?
Mm-hmm.
And really like feel the heat of the pentagram, and you're imagining all this stuff in your mind, right?
Right.
And then you do it enough, and that's why it's called ritual magic, because you do it ritually enough that eventually your mind starts to see it, and then eventually you start to feel the heat of it, and then eventually you can do it with your eyes open and see it. Now, nobody else can see this stuff but you, right?
Wow.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. When you go in a body, everybody can see it. Every entity, everything that you do, everything that's in there. When you use your imagination and you put focus into something, especially when you charge it with emotion, all of a sudden it goes up into this realm called, Yesod, which is the lunar realm, which is the foundation that imprints everything back to this earth, right?
Okay.
So this is why when we get emotional or we get afraid, and I would say the biggest example that I know that's happened to everybody is like they're afraid. Let's just say they're afraid somebody's going to leave them, right? They just met somebody, they really like them, and they're afraid they're going to leave them, and they're constantly thinking about it. Well, what happens?
Yeah.
They end up manifesting it, right? Now that's a small example, but you learn that, hey, I'm actually drawing this circle, I'm drawing these pentagrams, and in the astral realm, it's really there. Now, I didn't realize that till I had my first out-of-body experience, and it was so real, Brent, that it changed my life. It changed everything. Like, when that happened, my entire life was changed.
Wow.
Everything that I was ever taught, everything that anybody ever told me, it's like it opened up everything for me. And so I'm doing these techniques, and he's teaching you this technique on, how to get to the spot where your body just starts vibrating, and you feel the vibrations, and it feels kind of like, how, for me, like when your hand goes to sleep or your arm goes to sleep, except it's waving, and it's coming all through your body. And I was doing this over and over again. I did this trick where I'd wake myself up at 3 and then lay back down because your body's in this relaxed state already. And so this one time I did it, and I just kind of eased up and sat up off the couch, and nothing felt different. It just felt like it feels like if you eased up in your chair right now, that's what it feels like. And I said, man, I didn't do it again, because am I supposed to come out during the vibrations or after the vibrations? I mean, what am I doing wrong? And I turned around to get back on the couch, and there I am laying there on the couch. And I'm like, whoa, like, is this, and I'm looking around, and there's this kind of, I realized that it's awful quiet. I'm talking about that dead quiet, piercingly quiet. And I'm thinking, I did it. Did I do it? I did it, right? You can't tell a difference. Whatever you can see right now with your eyes, it looks more real than what you're seeing now, actually.
Wow.
At this level of consciousness. And I went to the door, and I don't know, honestly, I don't remember if I put my hand through the door, walked through it. I don't remember. But I'd been practicing these techniques to become lucid, too. So I went outside, and I tried to fly. And sure enough, I flew. I flew to, there's a tree right out here in front of the shack. And I flew up to it and just hung upside down on it. And I was like, this is amazing.
Wow.
So astonished. So happy. I don't think I'd been that happy since I was a baby, honestly.
Right.
That this was real. Now, what I didn't know was the kind of crazy activity that it was going to happen afterwards, but because I had done this. And then I said, well, I guess it's in my attitude. I was like, well, if I can do this, I'm just going to go straight to outer space. So I just tried to fly to outer space like all these guys in the books talk about, and my consciousness wasn't having that yet.
Okay.
So, just as things started kind of getting staticky and stuff like that, and then next thing you know, I woke up in my body, and I was like, oh my God, it was real. So I wanted to prove to myself that it was real. So I would do things in my house. The second time I did it, I tapped on a table. I was reading the Esoteric Practice by Dr. Stylianos Ateşlis, trying to focus on making things like, say you're sitting there right now and I come around and I can tap on the table. You don't hear nothing but a tap. Like, what is that? And then, but to experiment, you go back and you say, hey, did you hear a tap or something? And that's what I did with my son playing video games. So I'm starting to realize, like, this is real. I didn't want to wig him out either. But after that, I started having troubles doing that one experience. I started having troubles. I started having things kind of like attack me and different things trying to resent me from doing what I'm doing. And really crazy experiences. It was never that easy after that. And to this day, me and a few people, well, probably really only one person, but a couple of people I know we're still going through these things together. And I assume my audience members are doing this too because we talk about it so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then I really got into the Monroe Institute stuff. So I started putting this stuff together, right? Like the Monroe Institute, quantum physics theory, all that, and magic, right? Like this is what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these rituals you're doing in the physical realm or Malkuth or on the earth, really, you're just training yourself to become an astral traveler, but an effective astral traveler or an effective explorer of consciousness, basically. It's just like any martial art, or like boxing, for example.
Mm-hmm.
You know how to throw a right cross, but just because you know how to do it doesn't mean you're going to go in there and fight somebody and get, throw it perfectly at the right time. You have to keep doing it enough to where you don't have to tell your brain to do it anymore. Your body just does it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so these magical systems are retraining your mind, number one, to get rid of all the pre-programs that you have, but also to show you where all these programs come from, how they work, and what's behind it. It's funny, too, because once you finish the Golden Dawn system, everybody thinks you still are going to do rituals and all this stuff, and you do if you want to, but you don't have to anymore.
Oh,
you don't have to.
Okay.
You can create your own magical system. You can meditate, but you become an effective astral traveler and an effective explorer of consciousness, and an effective manifester, too. If that's what you want to do is manifest things into the physical realm, you can do that, but you're messing with the laws of nature, so that's a whole nother thing. But really, this system wasn't designed with the intentions of manifesting things. It was designed to grow this body so people could travel and become more conscious and aware and see these different realms and wake up to who they really are.
See, I think that there's the development of those kind of abilities, I think, are also the development of things like telepathy and other stuff, because I think what these things demonstrate is that we really are multidimensional entities. We are.
Oh, yeah.
We just think that we're just encapsulated in this three-dimensional body in this three-dimensional space, but we already exist in these other planes as well. We just don't know it, or we've forgotten it, or for whatever reason, those things are removed from us once we incarnate here. And I think that once you start breaking through to those extra dimensional realities and experiences, I think things like telepathy start coming, because you're existing both in a physical manifestation and an energetic manifestation simultaneously. And I believe that, our thoughts are projected through the universe, and, that's, we often, in our emotions as well, and ideas, and you get into the Akashic records and things like that, and all of this is out there. But in order to tap into those kind of things, it seems to me that we have to develop the vessel, as you are, absolutely saying. So does that make sense to you?
Yeah, there's a lot of different systems that do this. The Eastern people have their systems. Everybody has their systems that do this, and but a lot of times I think that we believe, and I could be wrong about this. I got the door open in the shack, so there's a few flying creatures in here. But a lot of times we believe that these are aliens, or these are, ghosts, but they could just be us traveling around in our dream state and don't know it. And things like telepathy, a lot of people need that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would cause a lot less arguments, don't you think?
Or more, or more.
Or more, right? But
yeah.
But there's several people that have had experiences and encounters and say that they were being talked to, but the beings didn't open their mouths, stuff like that. Robert Monroe, when he was doing his astral travel, would run into beings that he didn't see or nothing. He just knew they were there, and they were talking in his mind, and he had no way of explaining it. Just all kinds of wild stuff in the universe that we don't know anything about. But we will, because eventually, I believe, all of us are going to go back to where we came from, because there's cycles and everything in the universe. So we're all going to go back to this place where we can travel through light and through stars. And if you want a good example of that, all you have to do is go back to the Hermetic system, look at the double slit experiment like you're talking about, and see that it's real. Look at that, how we transfer information now through the binary codes with signals through things called like fiber optics, which is information, through light. Then you got somatics and you got frequencies, and it really all starts making sense, that it's all connected, that we're just like a fractal thing. We're this little place that runs on fractals, truths that are bigger truths than the universe, basically,
Yeah. Yeah, there's a whole stadium of truth out there, and we're just used to this little plot of it, and it's exciting though, and I think that the idea that people are journeying further with their minds and with their spiritual awareness is exciting to me, because again, if we're self-actualized, we can literally change the face of the world, and that's exciting to me, because there's a lot of beauty here. There's a lot of amazing things here, but there's also a lot of broken here. And the broken doesn't look like it's going to fix itself. So it's going to be up to us to do it,
Yeah, yeah. And it's not like we're not going to get another chance at it.
Sure. Right.
We're going to keep getting chances. The only thing that sucks about that is we keep forgetting.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all. We keep forgetting who we are. But the Christian story is pretty simple. If you look at that story, the kid, when he got here, he already knew who he was.
Mm-hmm.
So he was already a developed being to begin with. Yeah. And the body that the disciples saw was his solar body, not his lunar body.
Mm.
He had already mastered that, but his solar body. They saw his energetic body that looked just like his body, the one that he travels the stars with, and the one that a lot of times we call UFOs. When we see these UFOs and they tend to go real fast, or they come in and out of existence, are probably just beings that have developed that,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and that's encouraging as well. But let me ask you, as you were discussing this astral projecting and the actual physical sensations of it, it really sounds to me like sleep paralysis in a lot of ways. And do you think that, and I've been told this by people, because there was a period of time where I was experiencing sleep paralysis, and I finally figured out how to get out of it, and it really felt like something was there doing it to me, and that was my experience. However, I was told by someone, like, you got to relax into that, and then you'll astrally project, and I was like, oh, really? And so,
yeah.
What do you think about that? Do you think that some of these, because it seems to come up a lot, that a lot of people are experiencing this sleep paralysis, and I don't know if it's just the idea that more people are willing to discuss it now than ever before, or if there's more incidents of it because of this expansion of our consciousness, this raising of the vibrations. Is there more people experiencing it because they are almost spontaneously leaping out of body?
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's people now, there's an awakening going on now that most people don't even know about right now. Like we're in a time right now, astrologically, where this is literally the gate to the new earth, the new thing that's coming. Mm-hmm. Now we're not going to see it because things happen so subtly,
Right.
But it's not going to be like a light that goes over everybody and, oh, we're in the new earth. But yeah, like people are doing that, man. But here's the thing, that old hag that comes around, you ever heard of the old hag?
Sure.
Because I've seen her before.
Oof.
Right?
Oh, man.
Old hag, though. So you can look it up, too. You can get on Google and just type in, sleep paralysis, old hag.
Yep.
There's like these entities or I want to say, what are they called? Tulpas? Yeah,
sure.
Tulpas. I want to say that have been created elementally, even demonically, by us since the beginning of time, because of our mythologies and tales and stuff. So you can literally get in sleep paralysis and see these things sometimes. But if you're projecting fear, that emotion, and in the astral realm, it's going to draw those types of things to you, And so when you're in between that state, now you can see them, right? And it's freaky, man. And that's the kind of stuff that started happening to me after I had that first experience. I had like these like Rorschach looking black blobs that would come down and just, one of them just literally come, as soon as I come out of my body, one of them literally just come down and just shoved me back in real quick as I was sitting up. Yeah, and then I saw like a black hooded thing one time that kept me in you know what a false awakening is?
Well, by what you're saying, I think it's when you think you're awake, but you're actually still not. You believe you've actually woke up.
Right.
Okay.
That's right. And you keep waking up doing the same thing over and over again. So usually people do it once or twice, but I was stuck in this thing for like 4 or 5 times until, I was like, what is going on? And I started freaking out thinking maybe I'm dead, right?
Right.
Maybe just like everybody talks about where I'm dead and I'm stuck in this cycle right here.
Right.
And, I tried to wake up and you can feel your eyes shaking. We're just like trying to wake up and you wake up, but you don't wake up. And I'd pick up my phone and like hit the screen and the light would come on and just go out. Kept doing it, I kept doing it. And it really started scaring me. So, I got a little freaked out and I was laying on my couch and I looked up and there was this figure that had a hooded, I'm talking about just, you could see the hood. And this is all I saw of it because it scared the hell out of me. Excuse my French, but you could see the hood, right? You could see like it had like pale kind of white skin. You could see the wrinkles in its foreheads and like just nasty looking blue around its eyes. And as soon as I saw it, I stretched my eyes up laying on the couch. And as soon as I saw it, I jerked my head to the right. I was like, oh my God, what is that? And my heart started speeding up.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing I knew to do, I went back to my magical training and vibrated some of the God names that I'd learned, some of the Hebrew God names I learned, and this thing, like, it disappeared. And when it did, it moved by me, and it felt like when you're sitting in a swimming pool and somebody moves by you in the water.
Oh,
and then I really did wake up. So those God names worked,
Wow.
actually.
That's
I'm chasing down critters again.
That's okay. I think that is fascinating. So you would agree that they are actual entities. It's just that their origin maybe are garbage floating around.
Yeah. So, if like, there's so many elementals in that realm. If anybody picked up any books and read about Daskalos or Dr. Stylianos the Tesla, the best person to explain elementals. So, people seeing a lot of, like, if you know how you could, when you were a kid, or at least I could lay in bed and just really get scared, just freak myself out and keep my eyes open until something actually appeared there, and your parents would be like, man, that's your mind, that's your brain. Yeah, but what they don't understand is you just created something.
Yeah.
And those things don't die. Now they're there forever in the astral realm.
See, now that I didn't realize. That's really cool. Well, not cool, but I mean the knowledge is cool because I always assumed those thought forms, for the most part, would form and then dissipate. I guess I just didn't think they had an energetic frequency enough to actually stay cohesive. But so they do continue to exist then.
Yeah, they go to the lunar realms where your lunar body is. That's what that's the dream realm. That's the psychic realm, the astral realm, and. You can think about that as like the blueprints for a house, the blueprints for anything. So you just created a blueprint with your mind. Now it may never physically manifest in this world, probably won't, but it's there now. And we are children of God. We're little mini creator gods.
Yes.
And this tree of life is inside all of us. So we do have the energy to create things like that. Well.
No, that's fascinating. Very, very cool.
Pretty chirpy. Yeah.
It is. But there again, I think that's, those kind of statements are incredibly liberating at the same time because, we oftentimes, again, we think we think we're powerless. We think we're weak. We're, conditioned to that kind of thinking in many ways. And I'm not necessarily saying that it's been some nefarious plot. It may be, it may not be. I don't pretend to know. But I just think that we are, in our experience, since we're living with these blinders on in our 3D worlds, we just don't understand the profound nature that is our truth. And that to me is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, man. Every single one of us is just waiting to grow that way. I still kind of believe that we all come here to do whatever our souls wanted us to come here to do.
Mhm.
I really believe the souls come to the planet just to live because it's cool. They take a vacation. They say, they want to have this kind of life, and then they just kind of manifest it wherever, and they don't have to work on their soul at all.
Right.
Some people come here to suffer so they can actually experience the suffering so that they can grow their soul to a different level. Some people will come here to do the magical work, or to do mystic work, or to grow their consciousness and soul more. There's all kinds of, I'm talking about the book Journey of Souls. I believe that, but
Mhm.
everybody that is, whether you're Christian, whether you're whatever religion, we all have these capabilities.
Right.
I mean, every one of us does.
We do, and we got the capability to go to break. 1 hour is now behind us, and we're going forward after the break, ladies and gentlemen. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Joe Roop and more of the Paranormal Portal. Don't miss it.
Everybody likes to play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, dripping scars across my heart. Raging anger pours inside me as their lies keep falling apart. But I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I am finished with my silence. I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness. Just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise. You're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity. Just make sure that you're well fed. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet. I'm not broken yet.
Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Yes, they can, ladies and gentlemen. They can go on for years and years and generations. And so can the Paranormal Portal. Thank God, huh? Welcome, everybody, back to the show. We're into our second hour now, moving forward. And it's been an absolute epic journey tonight. Our special guest, of course, is Mr. Joe Roop, who's joining us. He is the host and creator of Lighting the Void and the founder of the FringeFM network, where you can find Lighting the Void. But how's it going, Joe? You having a good time?
Yeah, man, I love the show. This is like my new favorite show now, for real.
Yes. Whew. I appreciate that, man. I do. Yeah. That's awesome.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I like it. I like your YouTube. You got it streaming on TFR and YouTube. You got it going on.
Oh, thank you, brother. Yeah, it's been a great ride, and and none of this would have happened without my good friend Chris Geo giving us a shot. I mean, I was completely unproven in any regard, but he was like, "Yeah, let's do it," and thank God he did, because it's been one of the most amazing journeys in my life. Just having the opportunity to talk about these things that I'm so passionate about and meet experiencers and people like yourself have this incredible wealth of knowledge to share. I mean, before I got into this, doing the show, I thought I had all the paranormal kind of sorted out. I thought I knew what the hell I was doing and what I was talking about. But man, after doing the show and hearing all of these incredible ideas and thoughts and experiences, it was like, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But
Yeah.
then again,
Yeah,
none
right.
of us really do. I mean, we're just sorting through it as best we can. But it's a great discussion. I really enjoy talking to you, Joe, because you're a kindred spirit. You're very much a kindred spirit in how you look at things. The depth and the passion that you have for them is just obvious. So it's a real pleasure to have you.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, how can it feels like I don't know how I can't be passionate about it. Like when I talk about this stuff with other people, it's like, yeah, well, they want to talk about the weather or sports or Trump or something. And I'm like, man, I'm literally talking about consciousness exploration here, that you can drive, or space. And I don't know why people don't want to talk about that stuff, but they could explain just about all of the stuff we can explain. It might be able to explain those things. You think everybody would. I still to this day don't understand why people don't want to know the big questions, but
Right.
I get it. Some people just want to live their lives, man. They don't want to know, but not me. I'm curious Joe. I love it.
Yeah, me too. And I know Don's curious too, right, Don?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. That's part of the reason I'm here, with you, Brent, is, and I've mentioned it before, I don't have hardly any of the answers, or if I have any at all. However, it's the journey and the getting there and the realization and the awakening, not the awakening, the awakening. And that's why I'm here, and I absolutely love it.
Well, I love having you here. I love talking to both
Did
of you.
that come
actually.
through?
It did. You did not
Yeah,
break
yeah.
up. That was a solid transmission, Don. Over. Radio check was successful. Thank you. $5 is in the mail.
All right.
But yeah, we are, of course, having an amazing discussion now. Before the break, we were talking a lot about astral projecting, and I really fascinated by that. You had mentioned we have several different bodies. So, we've talked about, is the astral projecting what you would consider the lunar body? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. That's what the Rosicrucians called it. And
Okay.
basically, that's what Golden Dawn is. That magical system is like the introduction to a Rosicrucian system of consciousness exploration, sacred geometry, scrying, stuff like that. So, yeah, so the lunar body is like the first. It's your dream body. It's the one that we come here with, and it's the reason the moon really does affect it, amongst other things too, right? And it's kind of funny too, that moon up there, right? Like we look at it and it's a funny old satellite. There's a lot of weird things we can't explain about it. But literally, consciousness wouldn't be able to reside in the body, according to what I've studied, without that moon fluctuating up there, and keeping things structured. It's like the blueprint for the software.
Right, right. Now you had mentioned a solar body too. And could you? That's not our physical body. That's another. Type.
No, but it is the body. Like you have the physical body, the lunar body, and the solar body, which is the Christ story, right?
Oh, okay.
So there's a big polar thing that people talk about, where they talk about either the Christian story, or then you got these other people, the esoteric people, like no, Jesus didn't exist and didn't walk the face of the earth. It's just talking about the movement of the sun, which is talking about that too. But the truth, and this is why the Bible would say the word is alive, like it's a living word, it's the logos, is because both are true. And when Jesus ascended, he ascended into his solar body. He became that being that could travel the stars. The river of life is light, basically. He could travel the stars. He's back to where he is supposed to be. Then when he said, I must go to the Father, that's where he was going. So now I'm saying this as a statement, but you do know I'm saying this as like what I believe.
Sure,
right?
absolutely, yeah. Yep.
Not as like fact. But that's why people say, when they asked Aleister Crowley, which I'm not a massive fan of, okay, like his work was good, but I don't idolize his. I could disagree with him, but I don't idolize the guy either. Right. And he did betray the Golden Dawn, by the way. But anyways, they asked him, why do you call yourself the Beast 666?
Right.
And he did that as a propaganda thing to get attention. And he said, well, 666 is the number of the sun, and you can call me Little Sunshine, right? Because that's what the Kabbalistic number for the sun is. 666 in Gematria equals 18. 8 plus 1 equals 9. The number of man is 9, right? It's the foundation. So, yeah, I mean, it was a Kabbalistic thing that he knew, but he knew the public could only portray it in the story. So he liked to mess with the public a lot,
Oh, well, that's really interesting. Now, of course, there's lots of legends about Aleister Crowley, and I don't pretend to really know too much about it other than some highlights. Of course, his home that was on the shores of Loch Ness, where apparently he was trying to perform the Abramelin but never did finish it, and
that's right,
caused all kinds of problems that way. Have you heard anything like that, or do you have any insight into that?
Yeah, well, yeah, he was trying to come in contact with his holy guardian angel. And in that ritual, you have to go through a series of progression of dealing with your shadow quite a bit. And if he opened doors up to realms that people think that the portal's still open, I don't know. He may have, maybe not. There are so many other magicians that have done the Abramelin ritual. There are, I think his name's Ramsey Dukes. He's claimed to actually have completed the ritual and came in contact with his holy guardian angel, that kind of thing. So I don't know about the whole story, the whole Loch Ness story. Although I do believe the pictures in the water are real pictures, and whatever they took a picture of is real, and it's weird looking.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
No,
I totally,
know.
I agree with you, brother. I think he's an enigmatic character, and I think that I agree with you. He's probably been really misunderstood, but that I think also was by his own design, as you as you implied as
Yeah,
well.
he did it on purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I find
But
figures.
he did do some pretty foul things too, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, all you gotta do is read the Diary of a Drug Fiend, read some of his poetry. Any magician that starts invoking things and just says, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna step outside the circle just for the heck of it." I mean, what are you doing? You know?
Oh no, yeah, that's not a good practice. Now,
Right.
again, as I know you're a practicing magician, invoking is to bring something into you. Evoking is to bring it into the world. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Evoking is to bring something forth, basically, to bring it, and you'll see this like an invoking, yeah, is to bring it into you, to call forth. So if you look at I don't know, a magic circle, a lot of times you'll see triangles.
Mhm.
Okay, and these triangles, that's where they'll hold whatever they're evoking. But then an invocation is what a theurgist would do when they're in, like, say they want to do an invocation of, well, you mentioned Thoth earlier. So they wanted to do an invocation of Thoth, so they would literally call that energy into their body and become that. That's a whole nother practice that I think is, I don't really get into a lot, but I do invoke angels. I also invoke Yeshua, Jesus. I invoke pretty much, yeah, angels, elements, planets, stuff like that, planetary energy, things like that.
So a lot of the systems of magic are really strewn with these complex systems of numbers and calendar events, and it seems like, whether it's that or a Kabbalist or whatever, they have so many things to have to work with in order to do their practices. Do you think that those things are extraordinarily necessary, or do you think that perhaps the desired outcome could be done without utilizing all those systems and symbols, and with maybe an intent in manifesting something into your life?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
You can do. I don't think you have to have any system to do any of this. The only reason why I do it is because it resonates with what I'm trying to do. It's designed to work in both realms and also to manifest things. But I believe even somebody that was religious, right, and they really had faith in Jesus, who I believe did walk the face of the earth. The timeline's just a little messed up, and his name's a little different. But if they follow their Christian faith, when they pray, they're invoking that into them, right? And if you want to get to your solar body and you keep evoking Jesus into your life, that's why it's still to this day, even in paranormal scenarios, when people have encounters and they call upon that and they say, help me, Jesus, or whatever, it happens, right? Because it is indeed, if not, it could be probably the most powerful vibrative name on this planet. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it is, though. But yeah, you don't have to. You can do that. You could. I mean, you could do it like chaos magicians do, where they just kind of make up things and only do what's effective, or they'll use even comic books sometimes. It's kind of a cool and crazy system. You can do it in the Eastern way. The Easterns have their own system to do it too. So, yeah, I think we all can do it any way we want to do it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I always am. I'm envious in many ways of the people that are able and willing to sit down and learn a system, because I think those systems are powerful, and I think that they are capable of teaching and bringing people to some important epiphanies in the development of the soul and the ability to manifest that in our world. I've just never been one of them. I just can't do it.
The thing is you probably do it. So a lot of times, have you ever heard of I'm sure you have, psychic attacks?
Oh, sure.
When people, like, curses, things like that. You can manifest when you think negatively about somebody. He's like, man, I really hate that person. I wish they get hit by a truck or whatever. And you really got anger and you're focused on it. You start actually seeing that stuff in your mind. Most people won't know it, but they are causing bad psychic energy to that person. And if that person is acceptable to it, they can take it on. You know, so a lot of the attacks that we see in the paranormal field that happen to children, that happen to people that really scare them, are psychic attacks or leftover elementals from stuff like that. And I don't know why they go after children so much, man. They just do, you know, because children put off more fear. They're more innocent. They see them more. But children get attacked more than anything psychically.
Yeah,
really, it's kind of sucks.
It really does. I think I think that partially that could be because they are so much more sensitive to the energies that they respond to it. We've got, I don't know if it's maybe like psychic calluses that kind of have built up over us in our lifetimes of, you know, of trials and struggles, perhaps that, you know, maybe we've developed this subconscious almost shielding because, you know, when you live through your life, you've got so much to deal with, and kids are brand new. I mean, they're open to everything. So perhaps that's why is because they don't have any form of protection from the experience of living a lifetime.
They usually have, like, it won't get too bad. Usually they have angels and stuff looking out for them or guides, but yeah, it's a bad deal. Big bad deal. I saw shadow things when I was a kid, and my son did out here in the front yard once and froze in front of a tree and just, I mean, he was from me to the porch, and he's like, there's something staring at me over there. You don't believe me, but I see it. And you know when they're scared, man, because he's just locked, hugging the tree, shaking. Yeah. And I'm like, I just told him, I said, don't look at it. And he's like, you believe me? And I said, yeah, I believe you. I said, don't look at it. Look at me. And he goes, okay. And I was like, just look at my eyes and walk towards me. And he got brave enough to move across the yard. It's, but I think once everybody starts realizing that we affect these realms more than we think, that's when things are going to change. Like a lot of the paranormal activity that happens. People are enthralled by this. Like, I love the paranormal field. So how do we cause this stuff to happen? Well, anybody that starts trying to do out-of-body exercises, like really looks into it, starts trying to come out of body, I bet you $1 to a dime, you'll start having paranormal activity in your house because you're lighting up yourself in the astral realm and you're drawing these entities to you. And you'll start having weird things happen in your house. It won't take long, you know.
So after you started it, you really started to deal with some of that stuff too, huh?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got hissed at one time. I remember that was a freaky thing. The first time I was cleaning out here, you know, and I watched this guy on YouTube, Frederick Xavier, and he was talking about his method in doing it. And he said the angrier these beings, elementals, demons, whatever they are, the angrier they got, the more you knew it was working. Right? And usually they'll get angry and people get scared and run off, but they're getting angry because it's working. All right. So I'm saging the way he's talking about. And I heard that in the corner because they like to go where the dirt and shadows are. Just that, you know, like, get away from me kind of thing. And I kind of freaked out for a second. I was like, whoa, because there's nothing here. But I remember what he was talking about. You know, it's working. Keep doing it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, I've had plenty of experiences, and Don can attest to this as well. In the studio here, do you find that activity picks up just because of the subject matter sometimes?
Yeah. Can you ask me that again? I'm sorry.
I was just saying that we have a lot of activity happening in the studio here, and I'm saging and cleansing regularly. But do you notice that when you're really covering certain subjects that things really pick up?
Yeah, I do. I've had some things happen here quite a bit, but what I think is really cool that happens is I'm so used to it that I don't even see it anymore. But my friends that come over, they see stuff. Like, they hear stuff that I don't hear. And that's a whole nother subject to get into, like Carl Jung and who's perceiving what in the astral realm. But I got a friend of mine, Rusty, that comes over here. He said he saw shadows. He heard kids running across the gravel. The only thing that I hear a lot here is knocking. You know, if I do some heavy ritual work, which my temple's back here, kind of behind the studio, and I do the rituals in this temple all the time. But if I do some heavy work, I'll start getting these knocking sounds, like, you know, like on the walls and stuff, and it'll last for a few days, stuff like that. Yeah.
Wow.
You've had that happen to you before, right? The knocks and things like that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, you see on the wall behind me over here, there's a Ouija board mounted on the wall,
No.
and
Yeah.
I got this like double sticky, like super double sticky tape, and it's pretty strong. And that planchette on there is really, really like paper light. It's just really cheap. That thing will just come off of there. It just came off, Don. It just came off yesterday. And
Oh, shut up.
I did. I swear to God. And not only did it come off, but I heard it pull off of the adhesive, like pop, and then it hit the floor. So it wasn't like it was just a gradual gravity thing. I mean, it popped off there and then hit the box below. So I was just like, oh, okay. But I got to tell you, Joe, I was a guest on a show called Hidden Existence with our friend Daniela Iolo. And as we were doing the show, and I was doing it right here, we caught an orb appearing right over off of my left shoulder and drifted down in front of that black curtain and disappeared. And it was a little orb, very tiny thing. But I can't find any reason for it. There's no bugs out here yet, no flying insects at all. I mean, I'm in the upper north tip of Idaho, so it's still been pretty chilly here. Yeah, and it looked like this little snowflake thing that popped into existence on top of the ghost poster behind me that says "Caution Ghosts" or whatever. If you can see that, I don't know, but it popped in and drifted down and then popped out, and I didn't even know it was there until another guy came on the show and he's like, "Hey, I saw this light," and sure enough, I checked it out, and yeah. As far as I can tell, it's the real deal. I did a review of it on one of my Night Terrors episodes. After that, over, I think maybe it was last Sunday or, no, it was this last week, but pretty cool. I mean, it really did happen. So we get a lot of activity here, and I guess it comes with the territory, right? But
What do you think about crystal skulls? I got one. A listener gave to me. It's made out of orange quartz, and she said that a Brazilian guy, like, I don't know, they treat them like pets. So I treat this thing like, I kind of made sure that it's not going to cause any crazy stuff. But I swear this thing whistles.
Oh,
sometimes.
Cool. I've never had one.
I've
never had one.
Yeah, like I was doing a show one night and everybody heard it. It kind of went like that kind of whistle. And I'm like, where's it coming from? And they, the girl that gave it to me, she said that it'll do weird things or stuff it'll end up missing. And I mean, come on. Like, if I know the astral realm's real and we know that this world's real, so there's all kinds of crazy stuff that can happen in between these states we just don't understand yet. That's what we need to start doing, is experiment more and figure this stuff out.
Right. No, I agree. I hadn't heard much about crystal skulls, actually, other than, I know there were many from Peru that seem to be ancient, but I find them fascinating. And of course, being of quartz, that's an energy amplifier anyway. So I imagine, depending on whatever intention it was created with, I'm sure it's probably has a presence.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't know. That's why I called the show "Lighting the Void," because to me, it's like, it's more about asking the right questions than it is telling people your truth.
Yeah.
Because you got perception, right? Like, you don't know. Somebody can see one thing, somebody else has a different experiment. So what's the fundamental truth about it?
So
I don't know.
After the break, we're just about a minute away from the break, or 2 minutes. I want to bounce a theory I've just developed off of you. And it may not be as profound as I think it is. It might just be really elementary, but it was just kind of an epiphany that I had recently. But I think there's something to it, and it has everything to do with perspective. So it's funny that you just said that word, because I was thinking about this question that I wanted to ask you, and then you said some of the material that I want to go over. So it's a perfect segue. Cool. It's a perfect segue. And ladies and gentlemen, after the show tonight on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live, stick around for Paisley Wild will be coming up next with the Spaces Between. So that'll be coming up next. And then after that should be the World Bigfoot Radio with our friend Duke. But lots of activity going on this Saturday night on TFR. So I hope you guys will stick around and check it out. Just some amazing programming here on the station. So We're about to go, we got about a minute to go before the break, so I'd like to take a second to discuss our podcast with you and just to clear up questions, because I keep hearing this over and over. The podcast is not the YouTube stream that you're watching now. That's not what it is. The podcast is actually an audio-only show that we release 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, on Pandora, Spotify, iHeart, iTunes, and dozens of other platforms carry it. It's not on Stitcher, so if you're using Stitcher, you won't find it there. But we're out there, and we'd love your support if you check it out. They're completely new episodes than what you're hearing on YouTube or on TFR, so we hope you'll help support us there too. It's been doing great, but we need your help, and please spread the word, because we're trying to keep this machine growing as much as we can. We've just had Kevin Foster on the podcast last Friday, and he was talking about the Hockomock Swamp, which is part of the Bridgewater Triangle over on the East Coast, and a lot of the cryptids he's seen. So please check it out, and all of the other 140 other podcasts that are available in our catalog. So if you like the podcast, please stop by iTunes. Give us a good review if you would, please. It really helps to get the podcast to other people that are not familiar with it. So we'll be right back. Last break of the night, and we'll be right back with Joe Roop here on the Paranormal Portal. Don't go away. Not sure what the hell that is, but I think that's our bumper music. Ladies and gentlemen, last half hour of our journey tonight, we are joined by Mr. Joe Roop of Lighting the Void and the Fringe FM. He is here with us. It's been an epic, epic journey, and it has just flown. The time has just flown. I think we've hit a time slip, Joe.
Yeah, well, that's what happened last time when you're on my show. We did 3 hours when you're on my show. It went by quick.
I know,
and
brother.
there was so many stories that I wanted to hear from you. I have to do it again, because, I mean, realistically, we probably could do an all-night show between me and you talking about stuff and stories and everything, and you know.
Oh yeah, we never run out of material, that's for sure. So, it'd be my pleasure to come back on if you ever want that. That's cool. I'll make sure I got room in my schedule for it. Before the break,
Absolutely.
I wanted to talked about this theory that I got, and I don't know. To me, this seems profound, but again, it might seem really like other people will go, well, duh. But here's my theory. Okay, so and what occurs to me is that some people experience things, and they experience things all the time, and some people don't experience anything. Like they will have no awareness of anything paranormal, and they just think it's all a bunch of a hooey or whatever. And so I'm thinking, why is that? And every once in a while, those skeptic people will have something really profound happen and have these breakthroughs. But generally, a non-believer is going to stay a non-believer. So my theory is that the phenomena has as much to do with the experiencer as it does with the phenomena itself. It's like that the right person has to be present to create or to complete the circuit necessary in order for the phenomena to happen. And like take for instance, and this is an example I've used before, but take for instance people that research Alcatraz. Now there's people that go in, they're believers, they've experienced stuff before, they've got it, and they got all the equipment, and they will get pictures, they will get orbs, they will get EVPs, they will get a whole bunch of materials to reinforce that claim. Now, a skeptic goes in there, and I've heard of many skeptics going in there and sitting around all night in a cell and having absolutely nothing happen, and even repeated visits having nothing happen. So I keep wondering why. What is going on that these people don't experience anything? And I think it's that they just don't either have the energy field or awareness or whatever that is required to make that happen. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I mean, the double slit experiment shows us that we're creating and observing our reality simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
And so your beliefs and your paradigm and what you come to know is fundamentally true is what is going to be presented to you in your projector, like your reality. So these people really don't believe in this stuff, for they're skeptics, or some people that just can't do it. They just don't see it, I guess. I mean, that's the way I look at it, right? I mean,
right.
If science has shown us that if we're creating and observing our reality at once, then yeah, a lot of that stuff could be explained. Like we're all just little interfaces in between this, whatever this thing is, the human body is.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to let you know, Joe, are you okay taking calls?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, we only got 30 minutes left, or actually 22 minutes left. But if any of you want to call in, please feel free. The number is 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. And if you're watching on YouTube, of course, the number is right above my head somewhere. I can't see my live hand where it's up there, right above me. It's under the words Paranormal Portal. But again, we'd love to hear from you if you got a question for Joe. Definitely call in. But otherwise, we'll just continue having this epic conversation either way. So the observer, he writes, I guess now that you've said that, it does sound like duh, because of the double slit experiment. And that one to me is probably about the most profound example in our modern scientific discovery to show the epic impact that we have on the world around us. And it boggles my mind because it seems to be this odd footnote that many people just leave it as a footnote, as if it only has to do with photons and has nothing to do with like everything. But it would seem to suggest that we are a universal presence. We are a universal presence that has incredible potential. But it seems that most people are just like, and maybe it's just me on the outside looking into this.
No, man. You're making a lot of sense. We don't talk about that enough. When they did the double slit experiment, people are like, "Oh, here we go, talking about the double slit experiment." Like this is like the double slit experiment. We should have never just left it at that.
Right.
Even as a society, we should have just kept going. And I'm sure there are scientists that are, but that's the biggest thing that we've ever discovered. So, we should keep going with that. It's the doorway to everything. Like, I mean, the scientists are still trying to find, what is it, dark matter, black matter. The articles are coming out every day about it. Mm-hmm. Oh, they think it's this now, or they think it's that now, or it's something else. And until they actually go back to the double slit experiment and go, okay, maybe we should actually look into consciousness exploration. Just maybe. And put a little bit more money behind this and look into it as a science, because they're getting trying to find stuff so small that it ain't, they're getting nowhere now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, they keep particle accelerating things and smashing them together to see what's there. I just snorted in the mic.
Yeah.
But to me, and there's certainly a lot to be learned there, and I think they've firmly established the boson-Higgs particle now, which is exciting as well. But I still think that, man, there's so much more to discover, it's. I guess it's the old argument is what that was all about is light a wave or is it a particle, and it's both, but it's definitely both depending on what's being observed. And I think it's just so damn profound. But I'm glad you feel that way, because I just keep thinking, it's in an intuitive level, like, man, this is the big key. This is the big key. And when was that done? The original experiment was done when, in like the 50s or something like that?
Yeah. And I think it just shows us too that you ever looked at the Merkaba, or what the hypercube is? You ever heard of that?
No, I'm not familiar with the hypercube.
So the hypercube is like this idea that it's a cube inside of a cube, basically. And if you watch a video of it, you can see it explains dimensions and all of that stuff.
Okay.
But realistically, we could just be some type of entity, if you want to look at it technologically, that's sitting in some type of weird virtual reality system that we're just perceiving things that we can touch, smell, see, and hear, and feel, and all that. Now, sacred geometry shows us that. And the Merkaba, the two pyramids that come together, the Vitruvian Man, when you see that, the Sefer Yetzirah that wrote, it's a Kabbalistic text, but it explains the cubes. It explains the dimensions, up, down, left, right, in and out, and it puts astrological symbols and all that stuff around each point. So all of these old systems were explaining science today, and quantum science and quantum study, which I find fascinating. They're not linking together because it's a polar thing to us still. Science, spirituality, it's the two sides of the brain. It's still polar. We're going to have to evolve a lot to start merging these together as a society for real,
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're right. And Ron Moorhead last night quoted the famous Tesla quote. It's like, once we start researching the non-physical, we'll make more progress than we have in all the combined sciences and history. And I think that's absolutely true. I think that Tesla was on it, that he was absolutely right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, there's a lot of people ahead of their time. Carl Jung was way ahead of his time. It was when it comes to consciousness exploration and the astral realm and stuff like that. He was way ahead of his time. There's thank God for those people.
Yeah.
They launched us into where we are now. They every now and then we get people that come in here and they kind of boost us. They evolve us a little bit more. They kind of push us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I
A
think
lot of times we end up killing those people though, or shooting them for some reason. But yeah.
Yeah, our society isn't generally really kind to their teachers, but historically at least. But it's almost like the universe will send these people forward. It's like, okay, it's time. They got to really wake up out of this, or like there's excuse me, there seems to be an intelligence behind these people emerging. Like they emerge with ideas that are way ahead of their time, but they're always really appreciated eventually, even if it's not during their own lifetime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You're probably a little ahead of your time too, though, brother. Actually, just you ain't getting enough credit for it.
Well, I don't know. Excuse me. Sorry.
Well,
I appreciate that. I do.
Think about this. How many authors, how many specialist authors, people, like I've had on my show, like people that are NASA physicists, some of the smartest people, right?
Mhm.
They all got the same questions, though. That's the void. They don't really know what happens after we die. We've got some proof. They don't really know what consciousness is. We have our theories based on what we've experienced. We have the same questions as these super geniuses does. So to be ahead of your time just means asking the right questions that people don't want to, they're not really looking at,
Yeah.
Hey, Brent.
Yes. Is it
Brent,
time?
I got to break in real quick. I want to thank Joe. Thank you very much, Joe, for being on our show. I got to jump off because Paisley's show runs out of my studio, so I got to get going. Thank you, sir. It's been a great talk. Sorry my setup's all screwed up, but I live out in the sticks, so I do what I
I
can.
understand.
All right.
All right. Don.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Brent. We'll talk later.
All right, brother. Thanks for making it in. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ben. We'll talk later.
All right. Good night.
So I was talking about Robert Monroe earlier,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
He actually, when he was doing his astral traveling, he figured out, and he talks about it in his book. He said, if I'm just doing this naturally, and I know about this, who else knows about this? Does the government know about this? Does the president know about it? So he actually decided in his book that he was going to go visit the president of the United States in the astral realm. And when he did that, he met guards that were guarding his astral body that would not let him touch the president. They wouldn't let him near him.
Wow.
Think about that.
That's
right. And then that's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you watch the movie Third Eye Spies, there's Robert Monroe. They don't bring his name up, but he was in that movie. They show a picture of him shaking hands with one of the guys from the military. So they brought Robert Monroe in. This was back in like the 60s and stuff. So yeah, what do they know now? Right? What are they doing now? Think about it.
And you got to wonder what were they? How? Well, I mean, those are definitely some adepts that would be guarding him then, wouldn't it? Because they would have to not only know how to project, but they would have to know how to keep other people from projecting in.
They have to rotate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe somewhere, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about, but maybe somewhere there's a room with these people that learn how to get out of body. They're really proficient at it, and they guard the president's astral body, and then they just trade shifts. Like Secret Servicemen.
Yeah. Well, I can see the need, for instance, and I'm not a political person, and ladies and gentlemen, this isn't a political statement, but it is a reality, and the reality is that once President Trump took office, I mean, there was a lot of esoteric practitioners that were working on binding him and trying to chain him and in a sense attack him in a spiritual manner, and so. Which I think is profoundly misguided, because that's not the way to use that at all. I mean, no matter how you feel about someone, imposing a will upon someone else would definitely have, in my opinion, severe karmic repercussions.
That was not smart of them.
Yeah.
They called on the infernal realms. They used the Tower card, and I remember all that. But you have to know too that there was a lot of magicians that were fighting against that. So there was a battle going on during that time. They wasn't just going to let it happen.
Yeah, I know. I heard there was a lot of puppets being used and a lot of defensive things going on there too. And I find that fascinating, because I think of course it's very real. I mean, you had kind of alluded to this before, but I mean, even we're always casting spells. We just don't know that we're casting spells. I mean, the words in anger, the words in in spite, and even love, we're casting spells, and it's not all negatives, of course. You're wishing for protection on somebody or somebody to get well if they're ill, and of course, all of us are sending energy out there for that now, but these things do manifest. All of this energy does manifest because the essential root is that energy follows intention. That was drilled into me as a kid growing up. Energy follows intention, and I firmly believe in that.
Energy flows where intention and focus go. Yeah, like Joe Dispenza wrote a book about this too. Pretty much scientifically breaking down the secret. How we. Did y'all see there was a brownout? I got tornadoes heading this way. I hope everything's cool. But how when we focus on something, then we put our emotions behind it to charge it. So our focus is, the target, and our emotions is the amplification. Mm-hmm. And then it just, brings it to us. That's how we vibrate things to us. And that's how, we meet people in our lives, too. That's how we are constantly manifesting our reality all the time. Yeah.
No, I agree.
So the way I look at it is everybody practices magic, but there are few practicing magicians. That makes sense.
I like that, actually. I like that a lot. I think that, we're all fundamentally made of the same stuff. It's just that some people have developed these systems of understanding, and I guess that, in my opinion, this is maybe uninformed, but any of these systems are just working towards focused will into manifestation through symbols, through practices and stuff. But I think we all do it, and that's cool, and that's also I don't know if it's intimidating as well, because it's sometimes it's like people running around with knives and they don't know how to hold it or something.
Well, think about it, man. If you study Buddhism or anything, that's what they teach you. Become aware of your thoughts. Start becoming more aware of what you're focusing on and your thoughts and your attitude. It sounds cliche, but you should. You really should.
Yeah, I think so.
Hey, you ever been around a super negative person? There's a lot of people out there that got reasons to be negative. I'm not, downing them or anything, but look at what goes on in their life. Yeah. They're like Eeyore off Winnie the Pooh, That figures. Everything's gonna happen to me, and their life reflects that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just does.
Yeah, and you're right. It's all self-manifested. And of course, here's the thing with people that are used to getting kicked. I think it creates a magnetism that they will draw the kickers to them. It's just like they don't know they're doing it, but they're so used to being a victim that they project that into their expectation, which is a manifestation, which will draw the kickers to them to continue to kick them, and it will reinforce that belief. And it's such a self-defeating cycle.
It is, man. It definitely is. But if you study hermetics, you could change that, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of messy in here right now, but you can change that if you say, look, as above, so below, as within, so without. And let's say you're just disorganized or whatever, your head's just full of junk. Mm-hmm. Well, look around your environment. It's probably not organized. So here's what you do. If you can't fix it in your mind, clean up your house, right? Really clean it, organize everything. And then for some reason, as soon as you do that, it'll mirror that on the inside. All of a sudden, you'll feel more relaxed, more organized in your mind, things like that. So it works both ways.
Oh, that's brilliant. I agree. I think that's, I hadn't really thought about that, but I know that, of course, there's lots of systems that speak of simplifying your life and order and organization and stuff. But you're right that it is an outward manifestation of the chaos within, maybe, and by sorting through that and creating a clear, clean space, then I don't know. Do you believe in feng shui? What do you think of that?
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Stephen Skinner. Stephen Skinner is a practicing magician who likes to invoke spirits. He actually was the first person to, what is the word for it, transcribed or whatever, what the real feng shui, what it's supposed to be like. So everybody that really gets into feng shui, like, follows his work, and he does it for people. Businesses is even like corporations that want, the right kind of energy to come into their buildings and stuff. He'll go do it for them. Yeah, I absolutely believe in it. You study a thing called biogeometry. If you look into that, you'll see the reality of it. And I think back in the day, David Wilcock kind of got into it before they started this whole super soldier thing. But there's a deeper study of it. Yeah, just Google biogeometry, feng shui, and you'll see how energy really works in our life like that.
Cool. Well, we do have a call. Let's get to the call board if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure.
All right. This is area code 619. You're on the air with Joe Roop.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Brent. This is Regular Girl.
Hey, Regular.
That's one in the chat. Hi. That's one in the chat. And as I really like what you guys are talking about, and here's what I want to add to the conversation. So we're talking about the negatrons, right? People who tend to be negative all the time, right?
Sure.
And that we have ways to stop doing that. But what I want to add to that is, people who do that are wounded, and I want to kind of say, does telling people to, hey, stop doing that, it doesn't work. Does that work? Probably not, right? So what we've been given as a culture, as a society, are ways that don't really work. We've been given pharmaceuticals, right? You go to a mental health place, you get pharmaceuticals. Don't work. They have lots of side effects.
Sure.
We've been told through media, very controlled media, who's best, exactly what kind of music. But there is a thing called music, and music can make you feel better. We have a choice now,
Sure.
for a little while anyway, about what we want to listen to. Some of us have musical instruments sitting around that we haven't played, practiced in a long time. We can pick those up. There's a thing called drawing. We don't have to be the best at it, but sometimes just, taking a pencil or something, bringing it. I'm just saying there are things to do that can make us feel better and not be so negative.
Excellent.
Just try some. I'm just putting that out there.
I appreciate it. That's beautiful. You're right. Artistic expression.
And some of us maybe have talents and abilities to help others do that.
Sure.
That maybe have been lying dormant.
Cool. Excellent. I'm going to have to cut this a little short. Regla, I love you bunches. Thank you for that insight. That's very beautiful and perfect for the discussion. So I really appreciate that. But we got about just 2 minutes left of the show, and we're going to have to close it out. But thank you so much for your call and your thoughts.
All righty then.
All right. Good night.
Over now.
All right. So music, Joe.
Well, yeah, I mean, that works hermetically too. Music is going to do both. It's going to change your outside environment. It'll change your outside environment, but it also works with your emotions. So yeah, that works. I mean, that's what it's for.
Right.
You can change your mood instantly with music if you want to.
And creative exercises. That's a beautiful point. Regula is a longtime friend and contributor to the show, and she's got some really cool insights and a really cool way of looking at things. So I always love getting her call. I wish we would have gotten it about 15 minutes ago, and it might have been there. I just forgot to look, so that's my fault if she'd been hold. No, I guess she just called in by the timer. So, Joe, we just got a couple minutes left, but I want you to have time to tell everybody how to stay in touch with you and what you're doing and so on and so forth.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can go to lightingthevoid.com, LIGHT, lightingthevoid.com. That's the show website. The Fringe.fm is the station website. Same thing on all the social media pages. And if you want to contact me, the best way to do it is contact at lightingthevoid.com, or you can go to the FringeFM Discord by going to the fringe.fm /chat room and DM me on there.
Yeah, I still get notifications from the Discord. It's like, hey, somebody mentioned you, and then I'll look and it'll say somebody did like an at everyone. So I get these notifications. But that's
Yeah.
really slick. That's really cool. And
That's fun.
it was a brilliant discussion, brother. Thank you so much for being here. As always, whenever I get a chance to talk to you, it's just an epic journey. So I really appreciate you making the time to join us tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate coming on here. It was fun, man. Absolutely.
And it's only 2 hours, but it still flies here too. So I know 3 hours goes quick on your end. So
Yeah, it does. But I don't like getting on camera, but I'll do it for you any day of the week, buddy.
all right, brother. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you all for being here and joining us tonight. It's been an incredible time. We've just had some amazing guests and amazing discussions. Thank you to all of you who have come to be a part of what we're doing. It's really amazing. You guys are great. All the support and love you guys have shown us, we really appreciate it. And remember, coming up after us is the Spaces Between on TFR, iHeart, TuneIn, and TalkStream Live. And then later, World Bigfoot Radio should be playing on TFR. So go to tfrlive.com/chat and join the Duke. But ladies and gentlemen, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the Night Terrors. Good night.